A racing game that looks like a copy of Roll Cage? Well, count me in. At least until you realize that the game becomes repetitive rather fast. The graphics do not impress me, and more importantly, my son did not want to play with me. They do not make kids like they used to. Since you are here, and before we start, why not give a like, a comment, or even better, a subscription to my channel? It will help a lot someone so small as me. Thank you so much. As I've said in the introduction, Grip Combat Racing is a combat racing game. Strange. With the very archaic mechanics. Do not ask me about the story because I did not see any, nor do I miss it at any point. I've played this game on Xbox. As I refer often, the graphics always seems miserable on consoles. I'm very unwell, but here are some bad options that still make it look even worse. I understand their purpose, but some of the effects that smash or blur the screen make what no longer seems inspired even worse, and at the same time make it difficult to perceive what is happening on a screen, which is often confusing even without this blur. The music is entertaining and adequate, but no more than that. It sounds like generic rock metal, and I have to say that is perfectly fine. The sound effects are good and make the use of weapons and items even more rewarding. In terms of gameplay, there are basic mechanics around which the game revolves, and interestingly enough, it is not the weapons. Each car has a gigantic downforce that lets you drive in walls and ceilings. This technique is important because it is often the best way to maintain speed. Knowing how to choose the areas which has the least friction is fundamental. There are some speed zones that lend a helping hand, but we cannot really depend on them. This mechanics leads to a tremendous sensation of speed, especially when we are in a tunnel. In these areas, driving seems better than it actually is, but it is also there that it becomes difficult to use the weapons that we are picking up along the tracks. They work better in open areas, but then we noticed that the controls are nothing special even for an arcade game. In terms of the items that we are picking up, we do not only have weapons, we also have armor and speed boosts. There is some strategy in using these items, and this strategy shows one of the huge gaps in the game. This game suffers from a gigantic catch-up logic. That is, if we go ahead of the NPCs, they drive much faster, and when we go behind, they almost stop waiting for us, which makes that only the last part of the last lap was important. Multiple times I left the speed boost only for using in the last few meters with excellent results. This works for both sides on the lower difficulty levels, but on the higher difficulties the opponents don't stop waiting for us, and rivals become virtually unbeatable unless we have an immaculate drive and use of weapons. There's a lot of single player modes. The normal racing is the weakest of them all, but there is everything from racing with weapons only with speed boosts arenas where we fight against each other, and a more similar to Trackmania called Parkour that works relatively poorly. The arena itself is poorly programmed because we can earn a lot of points just by destroying drums, and the NPCs do not do that. We can literally waste time destroying barrels and probably win any round. Campaign mode is nothing more than a succession of races or arenas that go in a crescendo of difficulty, and where you unlock cars with different statistics. But here is perfectly clear that there are few tracks, something that tries to be disguised with an alternation between day and night, or using different parts of the same track, but the feeling of repetition starts fast. I still tried to play split screen against my little kid, but he did not like the game. Yes, it can be played in that way up to 4 players. Online you have the multiplayer option, again with lots of options to run, but all of them half empty. I always played against someone, but I never got more than 3 players at a time. It's fun because the players are smarter than the bots. I also got some bugs where I got stuck inside the scenery. This is very prone to happen because the cars reach great speeds, and in the more open areas it is not difficult to get off the track. Leaving it in the right places, we will end up inside the walls. At these times the automatic reset of the car does not work, because it considers us as being on the track, and the manual one ends up leaving the car in the same place. In a nutshell, who looks at this analysis should be thinking that the game is lousy, but in fact it is even fun for a while. I have to say I did not like the graphics and controls, but the feeling of being able to destroy other cars is always refreshing. It's a polished enough game, but it did not dazzle me. It is the face of the Game Pass service, entertaining for a few hours and then we move to the next one. However, I would not buy it for the price they are asking for it. See you next time, guys. Bye.